And I'm no economist, but I have friends who, and we listen and we say, basically because we're in business, if you want to have a business, it has to somehow keep itself afloat. And it's getting harder and harder.
Yeah.
And we need to create new wealth in Belize. We need to create new wealth. We can't live on borrowed funds forever. We have to create new wealth. You are running with the PUP. Before we get into that, I want to ask you, why the PUP? Why not an independent, but why the PUP?
Well, mainly, Ernesto, the PUP is the party that has basically ensured that democracy lives in Belize, that we are a democratic nation. It has a constitution, governed by a constitution that is all-inclusive. Hence the reason I don't agree with the whole characterization of the price years as Latinization of Belize and that type of thing. I cannot agree with that at all.
You don't think that? So you
No,
don't think
it doesn't
that is something we've had to deal with over the years?
Whether we are talking about the 1948 push towards the prevention of devaluation, to the 1954 universal suffrage, or 1962 land reform, or 65 self-government, the PUP has been at the helm of every meaningful change and achievement for the country of Belize. Is the party a perfect party? No human institution is. Even the great United States.
Can it strive to be as perfect as it can?
Even the great United States seek to create a more perfect union. We in the People's United Party are continually striving to improve and to ensure that the development of this country occurs for the benefit of the majority of Belizeans, or for all Belizeans. It's not a situation where we are holding any kind of limited scope as it relates to governance or as it relates to representation. It has never been a hallmark of the PUP to victimize and engage in that kind of thing.
Are we presently suffering mistakes made by your party? Because this is if you listen to the government station and those who advocate the present party, you know, this keeps coming up all the time. We're here, we're in this situation not because what we caused, but this was caused by mismanagement of the previous administration. How do you respond to that?
Well, there have been, since independence in 1981, there have been a multiplicity of governments, administrations, both PUP and UDP. So to say that this one administration has led to where we are now, this one being the 98 to 2008, would not be accurate.
So it's a domino effect?
Certainly is. And
so the last 10 years, how much of the last 10 years? Because your party was in for two terms, 10 years. You know, so is 2 years, 10 years enough to fix something or destroy it more? I mean,
5 years, 10 years, the length of time is not as important as the plan to get us to where we need to go. If you have 20 years without a plan,
I don't know, they go together, I don't know.
If you have 20 years without a plan, you will not get far.
Right.
If you have 5 years, as we do right now, without a plan, you won't get anywhere. Right now, the past is history. We need to learn from it, and we need to move forward. I can see great things and many good things that came out of the 10 years of PUP administration. Okay? I will not say that we are suffering as a result of those.
Okay.
I will say right now we are suffering as a result of the lack of vision that is basically inherent to this present administration. The policies of raising taxes on fuel, without even considering how it affects the private sector. These malpolicies are more to blame for what we have now.
Is this government collecting less taxes now on fuel than was being collected previously?
If it's collecting less or more?
Less.
They're certainly not collecting less.
They're not collecting less.
No, I believe that
they reduced it when the Prime Minister came in.
Under the PUP administration, taxes on fuel was brought down to 0.
Okay.
Certainly not 0 now.
Okay. No, we get to that now. You mentioned earlier that the leadership of the party now, the PUP, and some changes to make Belize prosper and for the benefit of all.
Yes.
And you have a vision.
Yes.
I'm sure. And I suspect we'll hear more of this as election time comes around, because your leader has been a little quiet. We haven't heard a lot from him recently. A lot of issues have come up, and we get the feeling he hasn't been precise on how things are going to happen. But I can see what's going on. You know, people like yourself are coming out of the woodwork now. Conventions are coming out, and I suspect we'll be hearing more and more of it. So I don't know how far you can go. But can you give us an insight on how the party plans to change? Let's forget the vision for a while. That's too big a picture. But maybe a specific area where some prosperity can come to the country. And I want to go directly to something you presented to me called the Gladden Plan. You know, I don't know if this is your personal initiative or your personal belief, or is this something your party is embracing to deal with? Tell us about the Gladden Plan.
First and foremost, it's a personal initiative. The party leader and members of the party have seen it, as well as members of the economic and the legal community here in Belize. In fact, we had the occasion at one time to go public with it on Plus TV, and it was well received. In fact, the first time it went public was here on Love FM on the Business Hour. But the Gladden Plan is the culmination of years of consideration following a discussion I had with my grandfather back in 1982. That was the last year my grandfather actively farmed. My grandfather, Norman Powell Gladden, he is now deceased, died in 1989. But what he told me, says that the coastline is the shortest way to get from Belize City to Dangrega or from Belize City to Corozal Town. He says the infrastructure that we have in place right now, the road that was being built, is not going to assist us to get from field to market quickly in any of these places, because it's taking us 100 miles away when the distance is only 36 miles in one instance and 72 miles in the other instance. So I had given that thought.
That's an interesting...
I had given that thought, and what the Gladden Plan suggests and what it recommends is that we utilize our coastline. Belize has a coastline of 240 miles, and that coastline connects Belize with Mexico to the north and Guatemala to the south. But not only does it connect these two major markets, it connects us to them at their most affluent points. Northeastern Guatemala, the Zacapa region, which has within it Rio Dulce. Rio Dulce, for those down south in the Placencia area, they would know that Rio Dulce boasts the highest concentration of luxury boats anywhere in the region. Wealthy, very wealthy people live in that area. Santo Tomas or Puerto Barrios is right in that area also. San Jose. So there's 1.5 million Guatemalans living in the Zacapa area with a per capita income of $4,800 a year. Now, we connect to Mexico in the Quintana Roo area, and in the Quintana Roo area, you're talking about between 7 to 20 million people, if you include Yucatan and the province of Tabasco. You're talking about 20 million people with a per capita income of roughly 9,000 US. We can see the affluence when we cross over into Chetumal. So, as it stands today, Guatemala exports 200,000 metric tons of sugar to Mexico every year, coming from the southern part, below Guatemala City. That traffic of sugar goes to Mexico via Chiapas, an 800-mile circumvention of Belize. Chiapas is one of the hardest, most arduous terrain to cross. It's mountainous and it's overrun with bandits. So the trade is difficult. The Gladden Plan suggests that we could divert that trade and have it come through Belize,
the coastal road,
by the implementation of a 4-lane rapid transit freeway or highway linking Guatemala and Mexico via the coastline of Belize, which is flat. Okay, we have stable government, and considering that we would be putting toll roads every 25 miles along this thoroughfare, it would be safe and a revenue generator for the country of Belize. It also proposes, along with that road, because the road is only one aspect, it's not the entire thing, 4 500-acre industrial parks in each of the 4 coastal districts that the road would traverse: Corozal, Belize, Stan Creek, and Toledo districts. These industrial parks are what is intended to bring about the wealth-creating enterprises necessary to create employment and develop our technological capacity and create the atmosphere for us to become an entrepot for the distribution of finished products to the rest of the world. But key to that is a little island 9 miles south of Belize City, 3 miles off the mainland, called Robinson Point. Robinson Point is the key to Belize's development because it is the only place in the region where the largest vessels in the world can come and dock without the need for dredging or without any disruption to the reef system. The channels servicing Robinson Point range from 180 feet deep to 80 feet deep and wide. It can be accessed from the north or the south, naturally. So, with a combination of a berthing facility at Robinson Point and the port facility on the Saboon Bar, we would have, with the road and the port, as well as the industrial parks, the ability to access raw material easily, the ability to distribute finished product easily, which we have not had in the past, and which we don't have now. When Williamson closed down, when Nova closed down, when Fresh Pan went into receivership, all of these things came about as a result of the problem we have in accessing raw materials and the equal difficulty in getting out finished product. If we cannot do these things, our chances for economic growth is stunted. We are basically kept in a constant state of suspension where we are spinning wheels and borrowing for the same things over and over and over again, not going anywhere fast. That's where we are. Now, the world is basically pushing this green revolution. And we have our problems with electrical generation, the generation of electrical energy. The Gladden plan also proposes the development of 300-acre wind turbine farms in each of the 4 districts. The thing is, Ernesto, each component of the plan can take volumes in terms of if you want to go down and in detail deal with any one point. So it's a similar effort to the effort of Eisenhower when he asked for the Interstate and Commerce Act to push through the American heartland to ensure that those corn producing and potato producing areas would have access to the coastline and what have you. The question that is invariably asked is that for such an ambitious plan, how could it be financed? How can we come about to do it? Will we have to be borrowing these huge amounts of monies to get it done? Well, in a nutshell, the answer is no. This is a unique opportunity for the public sector